Good morning, guys. Morning, morning, morning. Look who's back in their normal place, in their office, because my husband can fix anything. My husband can literally fix anything. I think every wife thinks that, though. My husband fixes plumbing, roofs, air conditioning units, my parents' electronic gate to their house, garage doors, USB plugs on ring lights. My husband can fix anything. And I love him, love him, love him for that. So, what are we talking about now that we're back in the office? We're back in our environment. And this morning, I want to talk about something specific. So, I know last week we talked about the books on Book-Tok that were letdowns that I just did not love, right? This week, we're talking about something the total opposite of that. This week, we're going to talk about the Book-Tok books that lived up to the hype, that were hyped, and I kept seeing them all over my FYP, and I loved them once I finally read them. And there are quite a few of them, actually. I'm going to put the little, same as I did last Saturday's video, I'm going to drop, because I read a lot on my Kindle. I have a couple of bookshelves, probably 4 bookshelves full of books, but I read a lot on my Kindle just because I love the Libby app. This is not sponsored, but you guys know I talk about the Libby app a lot. It's the library app that shoots your books directly to your Kindle so you can read them on your Kindle, and it's amazing. I love it. It is so convenient. So, without further ado, Book-Tok books that rocked my socks, starting with the first one, the most important one, my favorite book of 2022, one of my favorite books of all time. I'll drop it here below. Priory of the Orange Tree. I saw it all over my FYP, but the size of it really, held me off from reading it. I was just like, I don't know if this is going to be for me. But I just kind of took a shot on it. I put it on hold at the library is what I did. And it had like a 2-month hold at the library. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to see what happens when this hold comes. So I kind of forgot about it. And then last September, I was getting ready to go on like a weekend LARP with my husband. And the book dropped right before we left. And I was like, oh, well, this seems like a great place, like a great book to read out in the woods in a hammock or something. I'll go ahead and I'll give it a shot. I'll start it. I'm not scared to DNF a book if I don't love it. So I decided to just give it a shot, having zero expectations that it was going to be my thing. And it was phenomenal. Binge read the book, read it in 3 days, could not put it down. I don't know if it was a mix of the environment I was in and the book. I don't know, but it was so good, and I just highly recommend this book. It is a lengthy read, and it is a lot of world building, religion building, language building. It's not for everybody, but I do recommend everybody at least give it a shot. I usually say the first half. If you're not hooked by the first half of the book, I don't think it's for you. And that's okay. Every book is not for every person. But if you can read the first half, and I mean consistently read it and not go weeks between reading it, I think that you will love it. So this book definitely lived up to the hype for me. Next. Okay, so this author specifically, Katie Robert, is hit or miss for me. Katie Robert is also on my books that let me down from a week ago, TikTok books that I didn't love because I didn't love her Court of the Vampire Queen. However, where she gets it right, and I saw it all over my FYP, and I was like, oh, Persephone and Hades, I don't know. Neon Gods, Electric Idol. those are the two that I've read so far. I actually read Electric Idol this month. Ooh, does she get it right there? I absolutely love those two books. They lived up to every bit of the hype for me that I was seeing all over my FYP. I just thought that they were so freaking good. They were quick reads. I read them in one sitting. Just excellent. There was enough spice to content, to story. Where sometimes with Katie Robert, there's no context to no story and too much spice. I know for a lot of my smut girlies, that's what? There's never too much spice. There can be, for me as a reader, everybody is different. Remember, these are 100% my opinions. For me as a reader, there can be too much smut and not enough content. So, some of her stuff does lean that way for me. However, a lot of it is good. And this was her top for me. Neon Gods Electric Idol was her ceiling for me. And everything else that I read by her, I hold up to that standard. So, yeah, these both were perfect and they got right. Talking about gold standard for an author, Tessa Bailey. I think that these two books, Once Upon a Summer and Hook, Line, and Sinker, are her gold standard. I think that this is her at her best. I've read other stuff by Tessa Bailey. Some of it I absolutely love. Some of it was just mediocre. This was her high point for me, and I kept seeing them all over my TikTok, but I had read something by Tessa Bailey. I don't even remember the name of it. I feel like it was a novella or something, and it just wasn't for me, and so I didn't read it. Finally, TikTok got me, and I was like, I'm just going to get the first book, Once Upon a Summer, and I'm going to just read it. It was summertime. It was last summer, and I was like, I'm just going to read it. In September, I was supposed to do a no book buy. September. And I broke that book buy. I bought one book in the month of September. You know what that book was? Hook, Line, and Sinker. Because Once Upon a Summer was so good, I had to read the second book. I had to. It was just so freaking good to me. Once again, the smut was good, but it was also I don't know how to explain it, but the story was there. The story had chew to it. Like the first book more than I like the second book. The second book is still good. I know there are a lot of people out there that love the first book but hate the second book. That's not me. I also loved the book that just came out for Valentine's Day, Secretly Yours, I think. That book was only lukewarm for me. However, I loved the proposal at the end, the extra bonus. If you went to Target and bought the Secretly Yours, you got a bonus scene with Brendan's proposal from the two characters in Once Upon a Summer. It was, I can't chef's kiss enough in this video. It was to die for. Loved it. And yeah, so those two books definitely lived up to the hype for me. This one should be no surprise to you. Legends and Lattes. Absolutely love this book. I went into it knowing I was going to love it, though. I knew the hype was going to be real for me with this book. Because it was everything that I love. It was cozy. It was half orc or orcs. It was coffee shop, cafe, tea shop type situation. I loved this freaking book. I need to reread this book. This just made me decide I need to reread this book. This might be my beach read this weekend, is Legends and Lattes. Even though that's not a beach read at all. But I don't care. I already told you guys in my best beach reads video, whatever it is that you actually like. Can it be about a beach? Absolutely. But can it just be a book that you're really excited to read or you love reading? Absolutely also. So this might be my book to read at the beach this week because I love it so much. Legends and Lattes met every ounce of the hype. Hidden Pictures. Loved this book. Loved, loved, loved. So all over my FYP. It was so scary to me, but so good. This was definitely one that lived up to the hype. Probably this is the one that lived up to the hype the most out of all of these books. Priory really did too, but there was something about the hype around Hidden Pictures where everybody was like, it's that dang good. It was that dang good. I loved this book. Loved it. This one, The Silent Patient. Some girlies don't like it. I know. I see it on like my FYP. It comes up on people's list as one of their favorite TikTok books. And then it comes up on people's list who are like, I didn't like this TikTok book. To me, I thought it was excellent. I loved Alex Mixolytis' work. I liked the way he wrote. And I actually went and read his other book, The Maidens, after reading The Silent Patient. Because I just really, really, really enjoyed the way that he wrote. He writes in a very bingeable way. So yeah, I definitely, definitely loved this one. The Night Shift. I went and read every other thing by this author after reading this book. That he's got at least 2 other books I read by this author because they were so stinking good. I really, really loved The Night Shift. It lived up to all of the hype for me. I love his like past mysteries that he does. The way that he time jumps, I think he does it really, really well. Another one who does time jumping really, really well is St. James, Scarlett St. James or something like that. You guys know who I'm talking about. She does incredible time jumps as well. But I love mystery where you're going back and forth in time and you're trying to figure out what is actually going on. Evelyn Hugo. Now they're controversial. Here, I am on the controversial ones. Some people love it. I absolutely loved it. I know there are some out there that don't like it. I thought this was incredibly well done. It's with the time jumps again, but I thought it was beautifully done. Very easy to follow. Did not see the big reveal at the ending coming. And I just thought it was super well done. It was a great story about love and loss and just finding yourself. And I thought it was beautiful. It was beautifully done. Wouldn't change a thing about this book. This is definitely one that lived up to the hype for me. I'm going to end it on a controversial one because about 50-50 on this one. A lot of girlies love it. A lot of girlies don't. That's this Love Hypothesis, anything really by Ali Hazelwood. I gobble it up. I love Ali Hazelwood books. I can tell you when the next one's coming out. I believe it's June 29th. I love Ali Hazelwood books. A lot of girlies don't. But for me, this one lived up to the hype. Love Hypothesis and the second one, which I'm going to have to put in here because the name is leaving me right now, but I'm going to put the screenshot in here, plus the book of 4 novellas that she has out there. They were all phenomenal. I love Ali Hazelwood. Everything she writes, and I will read everything she writes. She's one of my go-to authors. So yeah, those were all the books that Book-Tok definitely got right, that were super hyped, and I just loved them, and I thought that they were worthy of the hype that they were getting. Now, I don't read a whole lot of horror. So I know like Haunting Adeline, which is like dark romance but violent and stuff, is big on TikTok. I don't read that kind of stuff. The 2 that I mentioned in here, Hidden Pictures and oh my goodness, Night Shift. Hidden Pictures, Night Shift, like, those are about as horror-y as I like to get. I don't go too much farther than that, just because it's not for me. But if it's for you, then go on with your bad self. Let me know how they are. But yeah. So those were all the books that, well, not all the books. There are a lot more. I could honestly do like 5 of these videos. But those are the books that really met up to the hype for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. So love you guys, and have a wonderful rest of your week.